the more the system, and we're seeing it every day, is trying to screw the lid down. And I mean, I'm sure in this chat we can go into some detail about how they do it. But
sure.
One of the key ways, and it's the way I open up this book. This book is 600 pages, nearly 300 illustrations.
It's almost as big as the book of Urantia.
Yeah, it's 28 chapters, or actually I don't call them chapters, I call them dots, 28 dots, because this is all about dot connecting. It's about connecting people, situations, subjects that are organizations that are not on the face of it in any way connected, but my goodness me, when you connect them, also that's what's going on. Oh, it's obvious now, and it is once the dots are connected. And I open up with two chapters which are fundamental to understanding the nature of what's going on. One is who are we, and the second one is where are we? Because until we understand the nature of who we are and the nature of the reality we're experiencing, we cannot understand how we're manipulated on a daily basis. I'll give you an example. It's very, very clear, I've been going on about this for years now, and it's becoming clearer the more my research goes on, that the human body is a biological computer, in effect. It's all the computer analogies boxes are ticked when you look at how the body works. But it's not like a desktop computer where it's data in, output out. It's a biological computer in the sense that it has the ability not just to process data on the basis of input, but to assess it and make decisions on that data.
Exactly.
And as a result of that, we can get caught, and the vast majority of people on this planet have, with a false identity. And that identity is that what we look at as we stare in the mirror is who we are. We are Eric Jones, we are Ethel Smith. That's who we are. No, that's what we are experiencing. This is a vehicle for experiencing this reality. Because we are consciousness, which is vibrating to a much faster frequency than this physical world that we wish to interact with, we need an outer shell that's vibrating within the frequency range of this reality, so we can interact with it. So I can pick a book up or interact in daily life. But what they've done, what the manipulators have done, and they do it brilliantly, is they've got us to identify who we are with the vehicle and not with the infinite consciousness that we are. And so we operate on a fraction of our multidimensional infinite genius, and we experience the world overwhelmingly only through the five senses, which is the computer consciousness, as I call it, body consciousness. Now, if you can destabilize that computer so that consciousness cannot manifest its true potential through it, analogy is as simple as a brilliant computer programmer who's sitting at a computer that's not working properly. I don't care how brilliant he is, he's not going to get his genius through that computer, because the computer's not going to react to his input in the way that it should.
Right.
And this computer, the body computer, is being bombarded with chemical and electromagnetic attacks, not least through the chemicals in food and drink. And so when you start to understand that what we call thought and emotion is also overwhelmingly a body consciousness, a body computer phenomenon, and it's an electrochemical phenomenon, it becomes no surprise anymore why, in the period since this unbelievable mass of chemical cocktails have been put into food and drink, particularly for the young, that the behavior of young people has suddenly started to be an issue. What's happening to the young? Why are they? It's a massive issue in Britain. It's talked about constantly. Why? Because our young people are being poisoned. They are being chemically poisoned, and emotion and thought is an electrochemical process, at least at the body level. And so even the way they think and feel emotionally is being destabilized by this rubbish that we put in food, and it's not by accident.
It's not by accident. And, even all these toys and things we're getting from China, David, that are lead-based, I'm not sure that's an accident.
one of the few things that Franklin Roosevelt said that I would agree with was that when he said was the effect of if it happens in politics, it's because it's meant to happen, and there's so much. This is why I put this book together and why it is so comprehensive. It's when you start to realize where all this coordination is coming from and the network that's doing it, you start to then see why, for instance, the same legislation is being passed in New Zealand, that is being passed in Germany, that is being passed in the United States, that is being passed in Britain, some of it almost word for word. It's because there is this central coordinating force which is has this global agenda. And as you rightly say, even down to, this is one of the things, even me as a researcher over this last 20 years full-time, George, even I've been surprised at the detail in which this conspiracy goes. And, look at what we put in tooth fillings, mercury tooth fillings. We have been putting this stuff into children and adult teeth all these years. And when I had mine taken out...
I did too. All of them. They're gone.
Well, I don't know what your experience was, George, but mine, when I had my mercury fillings taken out, the dentist and the dental assistant, they were dressed like something out of outer space.
Exactly.
And he showed me this long list of things they had to do to conform to government guidelines in how to get rid of the stuff. And I'm thinking, it's been in my gob since I was a kid, And we had a lady over here about 2 or 3 years ago. It was all in the media. And she had been in clinical depression, and she went into clinical depression almost spontaneously 40 years earlier. She'd been in and out of institutions. Nothing could be done for her. Until 40 years later, someone said to her, can you think of anything that you did or happened about the time all this started? And she said, well, the only thing I could think of, she said, I had 19 tooth fillings. So it was pointed out to her that maybe she should have those taken out and go on a mercury detox, which she did. And the depression of 40 years, institutionalized depression, just disappeared as fast as it came. And so that's just one example of how our behavior, our sense of joy, our sense of love of life is being suppressed, and we're being suppressed emotionally on many levels by the stuff that we're being given to eat. And, of course, GM food, genetically modified food, that's designed to genetically modify us, and it comes from Monsanto, which is one of the greatest Illuminati operations on planet Earth.
David, when we come back from the break, let's go way back to the beginning where this was concocted, where it was planned. And when you say in the beginning when you were ridiculed, we've got about a minute here left, was it because of your reptilian agenda theory? Is that why they started
No, that came later. That was the second stage of ridicule. I do ridicule, George. No, the first time was when I started talking about the fact that, the world was not like it was, and I was not just David Icke. I was more than that. And indeed, not just me, everybody.
What's up is down. What's down is up, David.
Yep.
All right, well, stay with us. David Icke, we're talking with him about his new work, The David Icke Guide to the Global Conspiracy. And if you don't think there's a global conspiracy, well, after you listen to David Icke tonight on Coast to Coast, you will be shaking your head and saying, you know what, I think it may be. If you want to send me an email, it's george@coasttocoastam.com. We'll be back in a moment as we go live again to London in that area with David Icke. David, how far back do we have to go to begin to think about the agenda, the globalist agenda, the plan to just control all of us?
Well, it's at least thousands of years, and probably a lot more than that, because if someone says to me, how deep does the rabbit hole go? Well, I don't know. I'm just going down it, and I've got to a certain point, but the end is nowhere in sight, because, I talk about the way we are manipulated on a 5 sense level through this network of interbreeding bloodlines and their secret society network. I've talked about how